Hi, my name is Kristen and this is Kristen Craves Books. It's that time again, time for another most anticipated releases video. Today we're talking about April releases. There are a ton of them. Just be prepared. There are so many exciting books coming out in April and a lot more pre-order campaigns than last month. I've started to include pre-order campaigns in my videos in case these are books you're interested in. It's always great to pre-order the books if you can to support the authors. And a lot of these pre-order campaigns also include library requests. At least 2 of them do that I can remember off the top of my head, which I just love. I love when authors and publishers do that. So all you have to do is request it from your library. I think you can do that from the app and then show proof of that to the publisher or the author, and they will send you the goodies that way as well, which is awesome. We love to support libraries any way we can. So we're just going to dive into this. I've got a ton of books to talk about. I already know I'm going to lose my voice, so I apologize if I'm sounding a little bit groggy by the end of this. Starting on April 2nd, the first one we have is Your Blood, My Bones by Kelly Andrews. I talked about this one a few times because it's just one I really am looking forward to. It seems to be gothic horror. It is YA, but it follows a girl whose family dies and she has inherited her childhood home, but she has terrible memories there, so all she wants to do is burn it down. But when she's going through the house, before she does that, she discovers that a childhood friend of hers is actually being held captive in the basement, and there's something supernatural, something sinister happening where this childhood friend is semi-immortal. So he's been killed through these rituals and brought back to life, and he's in a state where he's in between life and death, and to get out of this loop he has to end her family line, which means he has to kill her. And her family has some kind of magical spell that protects and wards off demons and such, and now that they're gone, that is fading, so she needs to use her magic. And now they fall into this situation where they're falling in love, but they also need to use each other. One needs to kill the other, so I kind of love that whole dynamic. I'm curious to see how that all plays out. And there is a pre-order campaign for this one. You get a signed and personalized copy, which is always nice. You get a signed book plate that has a really cute design on it. I always love when the book plate also has an illustration. You get 3 character art cards, which I love, and 2 stickers. And something about the teddy bear sticker is creepy to me. When you know a book is horror and there's a childhood toy, that always gets me, but those stickers are also really cool. So that is a great pre-order campaign. I'm gonna let you know all the details, where you have to buy these books from, if it's US or international, when the end date is, all that kind of stuff in the links down below, just to keep this video short. But the pinned comment will have all that information, everything that you need. Otherworldly by F.T. Lukens is a YA supernatural romance, and it follows Ellery, who is a teenager, and they don't believe in the supernatural. Even though they've been living in a 5-year-long winter, they think that there's a scientific explanation for that. Then we're also following Knox, who is a familiar and who is in charge of being a ward for humans who have made a bargain. But he hasn't been in contact with the Queen for years, and he's worried about what is happening back home. And then he realizes that some demons are after him. So he and Ellery cross paths, and in order to stay in the human realm, Knox has to make a deal with a human to stay tethered to the human realm, and obviously he makes a deal with Ellery. So looking forward to that one. Sarah Adams has a new book coming out. It's called The Rule Book, and it is a sports romance, which are obviously hot at the moment, and it follows a woman who is a sports agent, and her first client happens to be her hot college ex-boyfriend, and he agrees to be her first client, but he's holding a grudge because she broke his heart, and he wants to make her life miserable, but he realizes that she's not going to quit so easily. And then they go to Vegas one night, wake up, they're married. There you have it. I've heard good things about this one already, and I have read and really liked Sarah Adams in the past. What I know so many of us are excited for, probably my most anticipated romance of the year, is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Obviously, Abby Jimenez wrote my favorite romance, Part of Your World, and I just love the concept of this one. It does scream summer, but I think I'll be reading it in the spring as soon as it comes out because I cannot wait any longer. So many people have early copies, are absolutely loving it, saying it's her best book yet, which I find hard to believe. So hopefully it lives up to the hype for me, because I didn't love Yours Truly as much, if I have to be honest. So the premise of this one kind of reminds me of that movie Good Luck Chuck, where our 2 main characters, they both have the same curse. So whoever they date, when they break up, that person will find the love of their life right away, and they realize they have this curse. They connect through Reddit of all things, and they decide that if they date each other and break up, maybe the curse will be broken, but I have a feeling They're not going to break up. They're going to fall in love. But just like with every Abby Jimenez book, there are heavier themes in her stories. And in this case, our heroine, she's a traveling nurse and she's moving to get away from her toxic mother, but her toxic mother comes back into her life. And our hero has to become the guardian for his 3 siblings. So they're dealing with all that while also dealing with a curse and falling in love. And I just trust Abby Jimenez to handle themes like that in a really authentic way, and she writes great chemistry. So I'll be honest, I am counting down the days for that release, and it's going to be here so soon, less than a week from when I'm filming this video. Empire of Shadows by Jacqueline Benson sounds amazing. It's being comped to Romancing the Stone and The Mummy, so high expectations there. I know we have gotten a few books recently that have been comped to things like Indiana Jones or The Mummy, and they don't always quite live up to it. But this one does sound fantastic. So our main character is Ellie, and she has dreams of becoming an archaeologist, and she stumbles upon this map to an ancient city, which she wants to discover. But there's a villain in the story, of course, who also wants to find this city and is hunting her down for the map. So it's the 2 of them racing to find this lost city. But she also needs the help of a handsome surveyor named Adam Bates. And I love what it says here about him. It says he's a snake-wrangling rogue who can't seem to keep his dreaded shirt on. So obviously it's a romance as well. It says that between stealing trousers, plummeting over waterfalls, and trying not to fall in love with her machete-wielding partner, will Ellie be able to stop the Oracle of the Lost Empire from falling into the wrong hands? So it does seem to really be leaning into that Mummy vibe. So I'm so excited about that one. It sounds amazing. I don't think that you can get the physical copies anywhere else other than on the author's website. That is what it looked like to me, but she does have some pre-orders for that. You can get the Kindle version as well anywhere, and with that you will get some digital stuff, I think a bonus chapter and a download of the map itself. But if you pre-order the paperback, you will get a personalized signed bookplate plus those 2 digital things. And if you get the hardcover, there's more. You get a dust jacket and an alternative case laminate artwork, including a personalized signed bookplate and then the digital stuff as well. So I will leave a link to the author's website, and I'm just so excited about that one. Another one that just sounds so my vibe. Everybody who's had early access seems to be loving it, and I am just in love with both the US and UK covers. I talked about this in a US versus UK cover video. The vibes are very different, but both look like me, and this is Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. Shashian has made a fatal mistake to all monsters as she has fallen in love. Shashian is a shapeshifter who happily resides as an amorphous lump at the bottom of a ruined manor. When her rest is interrupted by hunters intent in murdering her, she constructs a body from the remains of past meals, a metal chain for a backbone, borrowed bones for limbs, and a bear trap as an extra mouth. So that already sounds wild. And as she's escaping, she is saved by a human woman who mistakes her as a fellow human, and through conversation she learns that this woman is looking to kill the shapeshifter who cursed her family. And obviously our main character is that shapeshifter, but she doesn't remember ever cursing a family, and the 2 of them get closer and start to fall in love. Now they have like a toxic family dynamic, and she's trying to figure out the truth while hiding her identity. Sounds so unique, and I can't wait to get to it. Call Forth a Fox by Markel Grabo sounds like my kind of cozy fantasy. Obviously there are animals in it, and I'm always up for that. Our main character is Ro, and her father has built this really plentiful garden, and it has supported her family, but then her father sadly passes away, and her family are struggling, and her mom and her sister want to move, but she has such an attachment to the garden and her father's memories that she doesn't want to leave. And one night she is out foraging, and she comes upon a scene of a bear attacking a fox, and she ends up saving this fox. It turns out that the bear is actually a human boy who has no memories of the attack, but knows that to break some kind of curse he has to kill this fox. So they're going through this whole thing of how can they save this fox. So a little bit different, but I do think I'm gonna love it. It's anything with an enchanted forest, you know this, I'm going to be drawn to. And there's an excellent pre-order campaign if you order from 2 different bookstores or 2 different pre-order campaigns. So the first one is Anderson's Bookshop, and you'll get a bookmark, sticker, signed book, or bookplate. And then Hyperbole Bookstore, you get an exclusive art print, and they're so cute. You can definitely get the vibes of the story by looking at those character prints. And the last book for April 2nd is actually a YA anthology, and it's called The Black Girl Survives in this one. and you know at this point that I am always up for YA horror slashers, and that is definitely what this is. There are 15 stories in this one, and they place black girls front and center as heroes and survivors who slay monsters, battle spirits, and face down death. Prepare to be terrified and left breathless. And the only contributor to this collection that I have read is Brittany Morris, but I really did love the book by her that I read. And actually there's a foreword by Tana Reeve Dew, which is exciting, but it's always great to discover new authors and anthologies. I have read an anthology recently and really liked it. I'm always curious about them, never read them, I say this every time, but I'm starting to read them, and I think it would be perfect to read in the summertime because that's when I want a YA slasher or horror. Moving on to April 9th, and the first book is actually a romance that I have been excited about for ages and just waiting for, and this is The Kiss Countdown by Etta Easton. There are so many astronaut puns in the synopsis, but I'll just read you the first paragraph to give you an idea. It says, with 3 months until liftoff, a struggling event planner and a sinfully hot astronaut must decide if their fake relationship is worth a shot at happily ever after. So our two characters have a meet cute in a coffee shop when our heroine notices that her ex-boyfriend and his new girlfriend are in this coffee shop, and she spills a drink on our hero and has a situation where she pretends that he is her new boyfriend, and this is beneficial for him because he's an astronaut and he's leaving in a few months, and his family is really worried about him, and he thinks that if he shows them he's happy, he's got a loving, devoted girlfriend, that they'll be more encouraging of his mission. I don't know how, but we'll see how that works out. And she's able to live with him rent-free because she's struggling right now, and obviously they have some kind of connection. As the synopsis says, they have a gravitational pull to one another, so I am here for it all. I don't think I've ever read a romance where one of the characters was an astronaut, and I love the idea of that. There is a pre-order campaign through Kindred Stories Bookstore. I couldn't find any photos of the actual art print that you get, but each pre-order will be signed. You'll get an art print and a sticker, so adorable. I'm sure they're really cute stickers. Anything space related I am here for, so I'm looking forward to seeing what those look like. Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes is next. I did enjoy Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes, but I think that is because it was my introduction to sci-fi horror, which has become one of my favorite subgenres. I'm excited to have something new from her. It says a crew must survive on an ancient abandoned planet. Very vague, but that is a premise that always works for me. We're actually following a psychologist who's dedicated her life to the study and prevention of ERS. This is a space-based condition most famous for a case that resulted in the brutal murders of 29 people. So she's assigned to like a small exploration crew, and she can tell pretty quickly that they're hiding something, and everybody is very hush-hush. But then a captain is found brutally murdered, and she's wondering if this is a case of ERS or if something more sinister is happening. I do have an e-arc of this one. Will I get to it before release date? We will see. But I'm always up for new sci-fi horror because I do find it's harder to find because I just have read a lot of the popular ones at this point. One that I cannot wait for, so excited about, have a countdown on my phone for it, cannot wait to get my hands on a physical copy, is The Book That Broke the World by Mark Lawrence. If you watch my best books of 2023 video, The Book That Wouldn't Burn, the first book in this series, was on that list. Such a surprise for me. I loved it so much. Since this is book 2, I won't say too much, but if you like libraries and you like labyrinths, you have to read book 1. It is so incredible. I just love Mark Lawrence's writing. I need to read his entire backlist, but definitely will be reading this sequel as soon as possible, and the artwork on the cover is always my favorite. You know this at this point. Cannot wait. Moving on to Dragonfruit by Micaiah Lucifer. This is one that I've been curious about as well. It's a YA fantasy, and it's inspired by Pacific Island mythology, which I love mythology. I love exploring mythological retellings that aren't Greek or Norse, so that intrigues me right away. In the old tales, it is written that the egg of a sea dragon, Dragonfruit, holds within it the power to undo a person's greatest sorrow. An unwanted marriage, a painful illness, an unpaid debt, gone. But as with all things that promise the moon and the stars and offer hope when hope has gone, the tale comes with a warning. Every wish demands a price. Our main character, Annalie, her father stole one of these sea dragon eggs, which was meant for an ailing princess. So she is now living in exile, but she has formed close relationships with these majestic sea dragons, and they offer her a deal to right a terrible wrong and to be able to return home. This is actually a matriarchal society, and we're following a prince whose mother is sick, and in order to inherit the throne, he either needs to get married or find a cure for his mom's illness so that she can remain on the throne herself. And I think these two used to be childhood friends, and when she returns they reconnect and they help one another. So I love the setting of this one. I love anything with dragons, and this seems to be a unique take and perspective. So a good one to probably read in the summertime, we will see. And there's a really cute pre-order campaign for this one. I think it's while supplies last, so hopefully there's still some available. It's for flower seeds, and I think it's for a specific store as well, so I'll leave all the information down below, but I think that's such a unique pre-order campaign. One I know so many people are excited for is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. It's getting special editions left, right, and center. People adore Leigh Bardugo. I think of all of her books, this is the synopsis that appeals to me most, so I'm also excited about it. It's actually a historical fantasy set during the Spanish Golden Age. So our main character has some kind of hidden talent, and she is working for her mistress, and she's trying to stay quiet, but she is discovered, and she starts working for different aristocrats. But then a disgraced secretary to the king discovers her talents and obviously wants to use them to his advantage and to regain his position in the royal court. And it says here that she is plunged into a world of seers and alchemists, holy men and hucksters, where the line between magic, science, and fraud is never certain. So I think this is going to be super atmospheric, and we know that Leigh Bardugo is good at writing atmosphere. And there is a pre-order campaign for this, and it's actually an 8x8 print with gold foil that looks beautiful. So I think in person it's going to be stunning. I could see people like framing this and stuff. So I will leave the link down below for that. We have another sports romance, and this is The Prospects by Katie Hoffman. And it says the pressure cooker of minor league baseball leads to major chemistry in this exhilarating, sexy, and triumphant rivals to lovers debut romance. So one of our main characters, Gene, is actually the first trans person to ever play minor league baseball, and the team he plays for is actually called the Beaverton Beavers, which I think is really cute. And he's happy with his life. He doesn't have grand ambitions anymore to join the major leagues. He's happy in the minors. And then his rival, who used to be a teammate, is traded to the Beaverton Beavers, and they have difficulties communicating both on and off the field, but obviously through forced proximity, they have to spend a lot of time together. A connection develops, and I think that the love interest in this one encourages Gene to have higher ambitions that he never thought was really possible, and maybe the two of them join the major leagues. We will see, but I love a sports romance. I think this is really sweet, and it has one of the cutest pre-order campaigns I have ever seen. So if you pre-order this book from the Ripped Bodice, which I know is a really popular romance bookstore, you get these character cards of each of the characters, but the cards look like baseball cards. And my family is a huge baseball family. We collect baseball cards. There are actually baseball cards on my shelves behind us. So I'm tempted to see if Ripped Bodice ships to Canada, because I think that those baseball cards are the cutest thing ever, and so smart. So one that I actually have a physical arc of is The Last Fee Hunter by Sanna Lee Goldenberg, and I think I've been told that this is pronounced fee, and it is a Thai folklore inspired dark fantasy, equal parts smart, exhilarating, and delightfully fun. I have heard that this has a sense of humor to it, which I appreciate, and that our main female character in this book is 8 months pregnant, and she saves the hero. So it says Fee Hunter and Perpetual Lone Wolf X is on the scent of a legendary demon whose death will bring him praise and acclaim. But the road to glory is a tough one, and he is interrupted by a pregnant runaway who needs his help with a safe passage through the ghost-infested forest. A task made more complicated by the assassins on their tail, determined to reunite her with the father of her child, the ruthless Crown Prince. It really does sound incredible, so thank you to Angry Robot Books for this physical arc. A Sweet Sting of Salt by Rose Sutherland is actually a debut from a Canadian author, and I realized that Canada has this cover, which I love, and then everywhere else has a different cover, very different vibes. Once a woman uncovers a dark secret about her neighbor and his mysterious new wife, she'll have to fight to keep herself and the woman she loves safe in the stunning queer reimagining of the classic folktale, The Selkie Wife. So I'm a little familiar with The Selkie Wife, so that definitely intrigues me, and I know that our main character, one night, there's a woman outside screaming in pain. She's in labor, and our main character happens to be a midwife and helps her, and she soon discovers that this is the wife of her neighbor, but nobody knew that this woman was pregnant or even really existed, and they actually kind of fall in love, And obviously it takes a different turn being a Selkie reimagining, so if you know, you know. Curious about that one, and I will always try and support Canadian authors when I can. Then I just want to remind you that The Hemlock Queen does come out in April by Hannah Winton. This is a sequel to The Foxglove King, which I do own from Preorder and of course haven't read yet, but I am excited to get on with that series and read the first book and have the sequel ready to go when I do. So if you love that first book, just a reminder that the sequel is coming out. Finally, moving on to April 16th, we have a romance, and it's A Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. This is actually a sapphic opposites attract romance. I'm always down for that. And Opal, one of our main characters, actually won the lottery, and this has been a bit of a curse on her life since everybody keeps coming to her door asking for help, and she doesn't have the heart to say no. So she decides that she's gonna buy this flower farm and get away and just let the flower fields do their thing, and she can work on her art. But when she gets there, she meets Pepper, who is very angry because she says that she technically owns a flower farm, and they decide to live together. They obviously have this opposite attract romance that happens and find themselves and fall in love. And there's some really amazing pre-order campaigns for this one, so no matter where you pre-order it, you can submit your receipt and you will get this gorgeous overlay. I've said this before and I keep saying it, I love when authors and publishers do page overlays. I love that that's a new thing that we're getting more and more of. This one obviously goes on the chapter page, like the title page within the book, which I think is different, but I really like it. And the author made a note that the colors are related to the Bi flag, which I think is great, and I think that's a really sweet illustration. And then if you pre-order from Novel Neighbor Bookstore, you will get a postcard, a sticker, and a bookmark with very retro illustrations. I love that whole design. Everything about that appeals to me, so those look really good. But the overlay is my favorite thing. Earthflown by Frances Wren. This is a book I've been excited about for a while. The release date has been pushed back a few times, but it's finally coming out in April. And I think the reason that it took this long is because there are 60 illustrations in the book. This is going to be a thing of beauty. I just know when I see it, I'm going to just love the way it looks, and I can't wait for the story itself. It's cli-fi, so like climate fiction, which is something that I'm always open to trying. It says it's a love story that tries and fails to leave the water crisis behind. Set in a near future post-flood London, it takes a grounded approach to fantasy archetypes where futuristic medicine meets a bit of magic. Our main character is Ethan, and he is a healer working in a hospital, and he happens to save an heiress to a pharmaceutical company and somehow ends up in a romance with her twin brother. It says that he indulges in what he thinks will be a brief, harmless romance, but is swept up in a deadly collusion over Project Earthflown, the largest reconstruction tender since London crawled its way out of the rising sea. Then there's also a journalist lurking in the background, kind of keeping an eye on this family, so I'm interested to see how that all ties into it as well. And yeah, it says there's 60 interior illustrations, full page and inline, so you just know this is going to be a thing of beauty. Then we have a thriller that kind of looks fun to me. It's called The One That Got Away with Murder by Trish Lundy. Our main character is Lauren, and she is in a new relationship, but she quickly learns that her new boyfriend's ex-girlfriend died kind of suspiciously, as did his brother's girlfriend, but they are being protected because they are wealthy. And now Lauren is wondering if this is going to happen to her next, so she goes on a mission to discover the truth. So it says that it's an edge-of-your-seat debut YA thriller about a teen who is forced to confront her past in order to catch a murderer before she ends up the next victim. And apparently it's perfect for fans of Karen McManus and Holly Jackson. Definitely gives that vibe with the cover. And actually is a really great pre-order campaign because this is one of the ones where you can submit your library requests, which you know I've said I love. So this is really cool. You get a bookmark, an art print, and a sticker, and I think the sticker is so creepy and I am here for it. So get those library requests in, or if you do pre-order this one, you can submit your receipt. I've been talking so long that my battery died, but we have one book left for April 16th, and it is a romance, and it is called When I Think of You by Maya Ariel. It's actually a second chance romance, and it says that the unexpected spark of two former flames may force them to choose between their dreams and each other. So our heroine has dreams of working in showbiz, making movies, but she's currently a receptionist. And then she has an encounter with somebody that she knew from college who is very, very successful and hires her to work on this movie. It says working with Danny may recapture the intensity of their film school days, but trusting him again won't come easily. So obviously he did something in the past that really hurt her. And as the pair allows themselves the openness and vulnerability to entrust their deepest truth to each other, The possibility of a true connection draws ever closer. But when Hollywood, politics, and scandal threaten to sink their production and her career, Kalaya must have to risk everything to do what's right, even if it means letting go of the second chance of love of a lifetime. I'm here for all the Hollywood movie drama. I'm into it. And another one that has a great pre-order campaign. You can get this art print when you pre-order from Reparations Club, and you also get your book signed and personalized. But I think this art print is really dreamy. The two of them kissing in front of the movie screen at a theater. I think that is really cute. So finally on to April 23rd, a few more and then I can let you go. The first one we have is Off With Their Heads by Zoe Hana Makuta. And this is obviously, if you can't tell by the title, and the tagline is "We're all mad here." This is an Alice in Wonderland retelling. And it's actually Korean inspired, about two very wicked girls forever bonded by blood and betrayal. In a world where saints are monsters and Wonderland is the dark forest where they lurk, it's been 5 years since young witches and lovers Carol Rabbit and Isadora Alice Sickle were both sentenced to the forest for a crime they didn't commit. And 4 years since they shattered one another's hearts, each willing to sacrifice the other for a chance of freedom. And I think this betrayal has led them both on very different paths. One is working at the Capitol for the Queen of Hearts, and the other is a ruthless hunter, and they cross paths again. So this sounds fantastic. I cannot wait for this. I don't think I've read very many Alice in Wonderland retellings for as much as I love retellings. There are no pre-order campaigns that I could find for that one, but I wish there were because I feel like you could have done a lot of fun things for that. But the next one is Song of the Six Realms by Judy I. Lin. This is actually the same author of A Magic Steeped in Poison, which I've heard amazing things about, but this one leans more gothic. Our main character is actually an orphaned musician, and she thinks that she is stuck in a life of servitude, but she ends up meeting this duke who really likes her music and makes her a deal. It says here that she can serve as a musician in residence at his manor for 1 year, and he'll set her free of her indenture. But obviously there's a lot more going on. He's not exactly who he says he is. This is a world of monsters and secrets, and she has some past memories that she needs to unlock, so very, very interesting, that's for sure. And I've heard good things about this author. And there is a pre-order campaign, so you can upload your receipt. I'll leave the link down below, and you'll get a gold foil art print and a signed book plate, and I like the art print quite a bit. This next one has one of the most unique pre-order campaigns I have seen, but I'll tell you about the book first. It's called Kill Her Twice by Stacey Lee. It's set in Los Angeles in 1932, and Lulu is a really famous actress and like the pride of Chinatown, but she is found by a group of girls who are her friends. She is murdered, and the police aren't interested in finding out who did it. There's a whole cover-up and conspiracy going on. So the girls who find her are determined to find the killer. And obviously the killer is still on the loose, so they're putting themselves in the line of danger in order to solve this murder. But this pre-order campaign is everything, so I'll leave everything linked down below. But you will receive a book sleeve made by the author herself. How stinking cute is that? I love that so much. So I think it's for a specific bookstore, so check that out. I love a good book sleeve. I can't believe the author's making it herself. I think that is so fun. And then this next one, sadly I haven't been hearing good things about it, but I still want to mention it. It's one that was one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and it's always a bummer when something you're really excited about people don't seem to be loving, but I guess I have to try it for myself. And this is A Letter to the Luminous Deep by Sylvie Cathrall. And this is being pitched as Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, but underwater, but I've been told that's not quite true. Though it is epistolary, I think it's just told through a series of letters, and we're following these two characters who discover something underwater. They live underwater and they disappear, and then we're following their siblings, I think her sister and his brother, as they come together and read through the love letters that these two wrote one another and what they were discovering, and maybe those two siblings fall in love as well. So it does sound like a good premise. I just haven't been hearing the greatest things, and that just makes me really sad, but we will see. Okay, April 30th. 4 books left, then we're done, and I can try and save my voice. But the first one is Truly Madly Deeply by Alexandra Bellafleur. It says that sparks fly when a lovelorn romance novelist and a divorce lawyer who has sworn off relationships agree to co-host a podcast series offering dating advice. And I think that's all you need to know about that one. It's also a queer romance. I have read The Fiancé Farce and thought it was a good time. I know people love this author. I love enemies to lovers. I love anything set around podcasts. I think that there's going to be some great banter in that one. And it's another one that has a pre-order campaign with a Ripped Bodice. So if you do pre-order through them, you will get a sticker. To a Darker Shore by Leanne Schwartz is one that I just came across recently, but definitely sounds like something I'm gonna love. It says a Da Vinci-esque teenage girl inventor on a Dante-esque journey through hell to save her best friend. Plain, poor, plus size, and autistic, Alista grew up trying to convince her kingdom that she's too useful to be sacrificed like so many of their country's poor to appease the infernal monster across the poison sea in hell. When Alista's attempt to prove herself with inventions goes awry, her best friend and heir to the throne takes the blame, expecting leniency, and ends up taking her place. To end the sacrifices forever, Alista plans to kill the monster that killed her friend. She travels through the depths of hell only to find her friend alive, but monstrously transformed. There's no escaping hell or their deeper feelings for one another, and the further they go, the closer they come to uncovering a truth that threatens to invoke the wrath of not only the monsters, but the gods as well. This is one of the greatest pre-order campaigns I've ever seen. It is another one that includes library requests, but you get a signed bookplate, bookmark, tickets to hell sticker, and 2 character art prints, and it's international as well. So I think that is incredible, and it just sounds like a book I'm gonna love, so definitely going to request this from my library and submit that to get all that stuff, and I might even pre-order it. We will see. Another romance that looks perfect for the summer, and I realized after reading Only for the Week that I love vacation romances like The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren, but this one is called Out of Office by H.A. Cunningham. This is a sensual vacation romance exploring what happens when you step out of the office, take a chance on yourself, and discover your deepest desires. So we're following Jen, our heroine, who is an overachiever. She's very career driven, but she's taking a couple weeks off to go on vacation, and she meets her driver, who is more relaxed. He's gone through a family tragedy that really changed his perspective on what's important in life, and that really appeals to her. And it says that when their intimate connection flourishes beyond sunsets and spice, Jen finds herself questioning whether the career path she's been on is even where she wants to be. With continents between them, a real relationship doesn't feel possible, until fate reveals that their futures may be more closely woven than they thought, leaving them wondering whether a 2-week fling might have what it takes to last forever. From showing up to glowing up, these characters are on the path to leading their best lives and finding a sizzling romance along the way. So I think we can bet that this one is going to be super steamy, going to have a lot of chemistry. Another one that I think I'll save for the summer. And then last but not least, I just want to mention that Powerful by Lauren Roberts comes out on April 30th. I think that this is 1.5 in the series, but this is the novella that comes in between. I normally don't like novellas, but I have been liking fantasy romance novellas lately. So if you've read Powerless, you will know Adina, and this is her story. That's all you really need to know about it. Excited to get that one on my Kindle and read it, because Powerless, I haven't talked about it yet. I did read it in March. It was a fun time for me. It was a 3-star, but like a fun 3-star. Definitely a series I want to continue. Okay, there we go. That is it. Those are the books coming out in April that I'm excited for. I know that Emily Henry has a book coming out, but I've learned my lesson that Emily Henry's not for me. But in case you are an Emily Henry fan and you forgot, I think it's Funny Story. It does come out in April as well. There are a few others. I know Chlorine Lease has a book coming out in April as well. So it's a big month for releases. Let me know if I missed any others that you were excited for, or if you're gonna pre-order any of these, or if you've read early copies, tell me all the things. Thank you again for your support. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye for now.